Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing? I got to tell you, I really like that group, the Stray Cats. I mean, far out. That's all I got to say. Welcome, everyone. Wow, to live in this time where you actually had music that was amplified by electricity and sound. And, I wonder how they would have done it, 200 years ago. But welcome, everyone. So good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. And favor be upon us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Be our ever constant reality. So I like speaking favor. It's like planting a seed every day. That's pretty far out. I don't care what anyone says. So anyway, so what's up, folks? As I see that I am in fact live. Man, I love this time travel. That's some cool stuff. You think about that. I'm time traveling. And technically, so are you. So far out, man. Don't know if any trip can match this one, because this one is what a trip. It challenges your reality, which I guess is a good thing, right? I mean, challenges are good. If you want to get stronger, you got to challenge your body. You got to, test your muscles. And mentally, same thing. If you're not reading books and not getting into in-depth discussions and not watching, whatever the program is, yeah, think about that. So anyway, thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate it, all of you. You're beautiful, baby. Remember Sammy Davis Jr. Who can make the sun shine? Anyway, I digress. Hey, S. Lee, Lost in Space. What's up, Peter? Good to see you. Asking hello, Brandon. What's up, Bonnie? Good to see you. Shirley and Kitty. DC, what's up, Nina? Hello, Gilbert. Brother, thank you. How are you feeling, my friend? I trust you're feeling better. Tells you how strong that energy is within you, brother. I don't care what the age is. The energy should never be depleted. They say that is, something that happens to people. They seem to deplete their energy. Not saying it all. I mean, there are those things. But anyway, Linda Espinoza, how are you? Hey, Joyce, how are you? Enjoyed the conversation earlier. Eric, good to see you. And John Thayer Sr., what's up? Go, go. All the way from Croatia. All of y'all, all around the world. Lori, what's up? So slowly but surely, there you go. That's the spirit. Witch Moon, how are you doing? So Emperor Rex, thank you for, your presence. Again, like the thought of the idea that things are challenging our reality. No, the way reality is being reprogrammed. Sure. We know something's happening. Whatever it is, it's got its grip on the world, man. There are some messed up people out there. And I'm wondering, as we talk here, I ask myself, are they really human? I mean, seriously. Excuse me. I think about it, that how can these individuals, now hear me on this, because it's a good example for all of us. So they're all over the world. They seem to be in key places. Now that's interesting. And they all seem to have the same programming. Words, phrases, expressions. And what they're trying to bring into reality is a reality that I know the vast majority here would not just say no, but hell no. Hell no to the no. Because it's not within our construct. That's foreign. It's alien. No, when you become authoritarian, tyrannical, tyranny, you make a rule, a law, but you're exempt. Those of your clan of thought, they're exempt. Again, they appear to be very unified. In fact, you hear that. The Republican Party, I think, is now becoming the uniparty. I think some I heard like that. And I'm going, that's odd. The problem with, when we just put an extension on this, see, that's the problem with religion. Christianity, for instance, is that it wants to be the one world religion. I don't know about you, but that freaks my ass out. And it even freaks me out even more when I realize that I was at one time a part of that. And then there is some odd stuff going on. You'd be a fool to ignore it. And nevertheless, it's here, but it teaches me something. You see, if the universe, this physical reality, this construct that we create, you see, they're trying to create a construct that for many is oppression. They oppose that reality. And so if they can do it, so can we. I don't believe that there's favoritism with the elementals, with spells, binding, loosing. This is when you like to have alliances. For instance, that's why on this channel we got to know the demons. Who are they? We found out they're not any different from the angels. Apparently, they all seem to be of the same clan. So that tells me we can enlist their help as well. They don't seem to really draw sides. It's more who makes demand on their power, their ability, their knowledge, dare I say, their wisdom. And we know that it's true that many in power, particularly when you begin to look into the bloodlines, there's a commonality. And within this commonality, there is the unified mantra stance. Well, we just want to unify the world. You don't own anything and you're going to be happy about it. And it's been here before, didn't work. And why it wants to, which appears to be a cycle, or seems to be, humans. You have to forget my voice. I woke up this morning with it raspy. But anyway, I think it's, my wife says it's got a great sound. I said, well, thank you, dear. Thank you very much. But anyway, getting back to the point here. So 2024 appears to be a year like there will be no more, right? And you got this side carrying their flag and their banner. And you got that side carrying their flag and their banner. And for me, I think they're all crazy. I mean, to what end? Any good scientist, philosopher, would always consider, because if you start something, you want to say, well, what's the ending? What is it that you're anticipating, expecting? And what we see here, it's like there is this division. No matter where you are, there is this division. And this force is so powerful and so strong that it's everywhere. And it can seep in with its tendrils so easily. We're going to talk most likely tomorrow on discipline of magic. And that's just something that if you look at these characters, and you have to look at it like this multi-dimensional game of stratego, risk, chess, even checkers. It's truly Dungeons and Dragons. We're in it. We're in it so deep. I don't think the vast majority, that's the problem. They don't realize, like, oh crap, how did we get here? Well, it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. But here we are. And, you have to look at how this thing is moving. And it's moving. And again, it astonishes me, even in this so-called season, the holiday season, you're not hearing love, not hearing reconciliation, compromise. All of this is, well, it's kind of odd. Keep saying that, what we did have, at least in the 60s and 70s, we had music. And fortunately, many of the magicians weren't really, looking for big bucks. Oh, that the hell, yeah, they were. They were looking for big bucks. But they seem to have this thing that, well, it is about love, the love of music, if anything else. I remember the Vietnam War, the protest, but we had something that we could actually point to, Today, I'm not sure what you point to, because everybody's pointing at everybody, right? It's your fault, their fault. Yeah. So, that's my monologue for today. It's something we've got to get ready. Yeah. I hear, I can hear the Temptations in my head. Rare Earth is another one. Remember that song they had, Get Ready? That was like a 28-minute, 23-minute song. Anyway, get ready, folks. It's going to get interesting. But anyway, so what's happening in the chat room? So here's an interesting factoid came across. Do you know that there are more people in the world today dying? There seems to be this exodus, and it's weird. In this article I was reading, it said even if you were to factor in those periods of time with, like, World War II, depopulated the human population, some estimate well over 500 million people, directly, indirectly. I mean, that's a large culling. You think about it. I think back in 1930, I may be wrong on this, but I think we were something like it, maybe 2 billion people. And when you remove 500 million people out of the equation, yeah. And this article was pointing that, the numbers are such that, well, world leaders are now admitting to it. The dictator in North Korea breaks down crying because his people are saying, listen, here's the problem. There's not enough sex out there. Not enough kids, not enough babies being born. Got all these people exiting. The problem is we ain't got a whole lot coming in. That's a problem. It's a problem for not just places like North Korea, China is facing it. The United States is facing it. Great Britain, Australia. It's all around the world. Not enough babies being produced here. And, when you look at a nation, you don't want to see negative numbers, because, well, that has all sorts of things. Here in the United States with social services, for instance, it used to be the 1-to-3 ratio. 3 people working, 1 person receiving retirement benefits, etc. Now the number, it just doesn't make sense anymore. It's scary. Scary doesn't make sense. And my point being is that, again, something is up. I had, and we're going to be talking about today, EMEs and NDEs. These are electromagnetic effects. And it's really interesting because the scientific study that we're going to look at, this paper, really gets into that as to there is something going on here. People who have what is classified scientifically and clinically as a true near-death experience. In other words, they were on the operating table, their heart quit beating, etc. No brain activity, etc. Those are what they classify as, I think those are like the class 1 NDEs. And then they have other NDE scales that go from that. But that class 1 group is very interesting because this group exhibits very strange physicality effects on their bodies. And it got me to thinking about, well, electromagnetic. I have right over here in, gals, can I begin to feel an EMF field, right? Got all sorts of this. And it's interesting because the paranormal, if you are into discovering, are spirits real? I think they are. I've seen enough. And they display themselves in a most interesting way. This also transcends to the fact that the same effects are noticed when people say that they have visitation of angels. Those, and I think JD could probably testify to this as well. Same thing when you form relationships with so-called demons. Of course, the etymology of the word, demons, divine ones, they're all brothers and sisters. So, but the fact is, you can measure the change in the intensity to the electromagnetic field, which indicates that these beings obviously are, I would say, more electric than anything else. And it appears that when you die, when I pass over, we have that same ability. Not sure what happens, with so many. I think so many people are, well, listen, the experience is going to be a shocking experience no matter what. Excuse me. But nevertheless, you have this energy field. And it gets back into our point in this time about this war that's happening. There appears to be a war in heaven. Whether, again, if this is the continuation of the first war, or, depending on your theology, this appears to be a second war. It appears to have different characteristics that could be attributed to the fact of our understanding of simple physics. Not saying that 2,000 years ago they didn't have an understanding, but they didn't have Kroger and Walmarts to get whatever you wanted if you were hungry, right? Didn't work that way. So here we are. And if there is this second war, then this is going to get really strange. Do I find it coincidental that we're in the Parker spiral? This galactic magnetic wave that's coming through the solar system. If you were a being in the ethereal part, wouldn't you look for those events? Seems like you could derive more power than what would be normally expected. I mean, I'm just asking for a friend. I'm talking amongst friends here. So, strange, isn't it? If this war is happening, and listen, whatever is happening in the world, it's either, door number one or door number two. There may be others, but right now, we're only given the choice of door one or door two. So either it is of an alien nature that's causing our species to spiral into this dark reality. It ain't pretty any way you look at it. You got John Kerry up there talking about, you need to kill cows to stop them from farting. And that son of a bitch, the hypocrite that he is, lets a fart out, not just one, but two. And the people sitting next to him, man, are covering their faces. And I mean, because it must have stunk bad. But that's what I'm talking about. There is a different reality that is apparently trying to be brought in. And it don't look good for the free thinkers. No. So I contend that if it's not aliens, then it's humans doing this. And if it's humans, are they like other humans? Why would a human being want to do that? Strangest, the oddity. So let's get into this subject right now. I mean, there is a website. Let me pull it up here. I left it in the description. And check this out, folks. So this is a really, really cool website. This is the NDERF.org, Near Death Experience Research Foundation. Now, this group, this is all they do. And it's kind of interesting that when you look at what modern science is doing, this appears to be it's reaching and affecting all disciplines of science. You can look at the history, you can look at the cosmological history, you can look at all these other different disciplines, physics itself. There's been no great breakthrough in physics in decades. It's like physics is dead. And this is why physicists, theoretical physicists, are looking at this now. Death, near-death experience, something's going on. And we're going to get into a research paper, but I wanted to get to this website because it's really cool. As you can see, it's updated. This is experience 5,262. This is Jeff H. And this is his, which was just recently posted just 2 days ago. He said, the first energy download taught me why I was put through so many hardships since birth. It wasn't by accident or by fate or by bad luck. They were all pre-planned to make me stronger and wiser. All the pain I've been carrying around all these years was erased. It felt like I was reborn again. Then more waves of energy and answers came into me. This experience was overwhelming as they kept me on the floor, still in a fetal position, unable to stand. God showed me what he was. And he's not a man or a woman or any physical form. God is pure love. Pure, super bright white light of energy is the best I can explain it. God is everything and everywhere, and we are a part of God. God is in all of us, good or bad. God is love, pure love. These are really interesting, and again, check it out because we're going to get into the white paper. But it's interesting because I've got the book, probably one of the best, the big book of, and the reason why this intrigues me is that because it kind of begins to answer questions. Most people hope for that there's something after their physical life, when their bodies cease to exist. And for me, that's not good enough. I've listened to people who say, well, I just believe that once you're gone, it's lights out, baby. Their philosophy is that ain't going to matter anyway. Not going to feel a thing, isn't going to matter. Well, to some, they find that most distressing. I would agree. We'd like to think that everything we're experiencing here transcends and carries over. And the religions of the world, just like politics, they want to fashion your expectation. Don't let them do that. Seriously. It appears that depending on where you are, that unspoken anticipation has a way of manifesting itself. And it's not that it's actually what it really is, but apparently it takes some people a little while to get out of the cocoon. Tim's. As I watched the events of my life unfold before me, I felt an inexplicable connection to each moment. No matter how significant or seemingly inconsequential, the moments of kindness and compassion radiated with a profound light, illuminating the path of my journey. However, there were also moments of selfishness, hurt, and indifference, which cast shadows upon the tapestry of my life. I experienced a life review, a journey through my own history, guided by the wisdom of these ancient beings. And this is not the first time I've read that specific description. Each memory contained not only the events themselves, but also the emotions, intentions, and consequences that followed from them. It was a revelation of interconnectedness, a realization that my actions rippled through the lives of others and reverberated through the cosmos. Wow. That's just far fucking out. In this sacred process, I gained a deep and profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings and the power of our choices to shape the world around us. Now, that's what we were just talking about. There seems to be a group, I don't know who they are, but we see their talking heads. Whether that's the head of the snake, I don't know. But this whole thing, everything's connected. So by that statement, then we have some sort of crazy connection to them and vice versa. Also, I found it interesting here, the power of our choices to shape the world around us. Isn't that what we've just been doing this week? Magic is not magic. Words, thoughts, create reality. Boom, baby. Mic drop. So, hey, if you wanted, we could spend the next hour, and we could go for a couple of hours. They're very interesting experiences. Oh, I just saw this one. So this guy was back in June from Mexico. I was standing in front of Vishnu. He was seated on grass in the lotus pose and wearing only a brown loincloth. Behind him there were clouds. The sky was pink and gold in color. At that moment, I experienced a feeling that I cannot describe because I have never experienced it here on earth. I felt absolute peace. There was no pain, no suffering, and everything was fine. He explained to me that I was in a place that was above good and bad. Those things I saw are human, but do not exist. I'm glad I read this. I see now. We've talked about this here. And I am on the record of saying that there is a place above good and bad. It seems to be difficult for us to find that place, but okay, as they would say. But anyway, check it out. I hope you do. It's quite interesting. We're going to continue on it because I think it's healthy. I think it increases knowledge, confidence. The only way to conquer fear is through knowledge. And R. Wayne Steiger said it best. Ignorance is a self-inflicted disease easily cured by knowledge. I agree with the dude. By the way, you're looking beautiful, dude. I can do that. Hey, Paradox Apostles, what's happening? So, Graham, good to see you. So let's talk about another effect of people who have crossed over and have come back. And when they come back, things begin to get really weird. Rick, I say you're right. It gets really trippy. It does. So, and the thing about it is, it's interesting in some of these things. I have no doubt there's probably a few in here that may experience the same thing. So this is a research paper. Let me get to the point where I was wanting to get, just so you can see. So this is a research paper on the electromagnetic effects of near-death experiences. This is a preliminary report on a series of studies currently under review. It's fascinating. That's all I got to say. I applaud the scientists and the universities that are funding this type. And to those philanthropy groups or individuals, way to go. They're wanting to know too. Listen, all of the billionaires, the tech titans, all the politicians, you know what they're really afraid of? Dying. For them, dying is probably a much more intense experience than for many of us here. To whom much is required, right? So I'm just going to read the introduction and then we're going to go because I've highlighted points, but this helps you get an idea of why the research is taking place and what the early results are showing. And it's interesting. The introduction, the widespread occurrence of near-death experiences, NDEs, is unequivocally namely millions of people in the U.S. have reported such experiences. It's a lot of people. This phenomenon is also rapidly growing. Odd, is that? I mean, did it happen in the past? And was it because that we were more local in one's lifespan that this kind of stuff wouldn't have been noticed? I mean, if you were in a village of 1,000 people and if 10 or 15 people had experienced an NDE, would there really be that knowledge? No, probably because you're working to either sustain your home, food, etc. So anyway, likely due in part to advancing techniques of resuscitations in which people are increasingly being brought back from the brink of death with NDEs to report. As a result, NDEs have captured the attention of researchers from various scientific fields such as neurology and quantum physics. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it is. We've talked about that. As well as have captured the attention of the media, resulting in much public interest. What remains unequivocal is whether NDEs can ever be confirmed as objectively real, i.e., veridical to some external criteria for defining reality, or whether they are to be relegated to merely being judged as subjective experiences that do not necessarily indicate anything objectively factual. If ever accepted as real, however, NDEs could provide a vehicle to openly address fundamental questions that have long interested humankind. Bet your ass they have. It is the Holy Grail. And maybe the gods are going to slap us down because maybe we're getting real close to that. The horror story comes in. It seems like the assholes that get a hold of this technology are so narcissistic that they're already broken. Yeah, just a thought. Let's continue. Such as whether consciousness can exist independently of a functioning brain and whether there might be an afterlife. NDEs seem to imply these are possible, and if so, these would undoubtedly have radical implications not only for science, but for every sector of human existence. Many scholars have recognized the profundity of these types of questions, as well as how research on NDEs may provide a unique avenue for their exploration. Presently, although there are many theories used to explain or sometimes explain away NDEs, those based solely on reductionistic and materialistic views have weaknesses that cannot yet fully account for the many puzzling, extraordinary NDE phenomenon that are often reported. Most difficult to explain in reductionistic and materialistic ways. Isn't that quite a word? Reductionistic. I mean, wow. Anyway, ways are numerous dramatic after effects on those having the NDEs, calling NDRs, such as reports of enhancing energetic healing abilities and telepathy experiences, along with profound changes in spiritual beliefs, values, and lifestyle. And of course, if you're reading this, you can see there's all the references to each statement there. It's a good research paper. One specific puzzling experience frequently reported involves electromagnetic effects. These are the EMEs, in which many NDErs claim increased sensitivity to lights, computers, phones, and other technology. These are particularly interesting as they are not just subjective, but are potentially amenable to so-called objective measurements and observation. And if that's ever achieved, where it can be duplicated again, what's your thought, chat room? Those of you looking on replay, do you think the gods might slap us down? Go like hell, they're going to get that. I don't know. Dr. Ring in 1992 was among the first to conduct scientific studies on the possible after effects of an NDE. He compared 74 NDEs with 54 controls and found that the NDEs scored significantly higher in the following 6 categories compared to a control group. 1, physical sensitivities. 2, physiological changes. Neurological changes. 3, energetic changes. 4, emotional changes. 5, and finally, expanded mental awareness and changes in purported paranormal function. Now, this is the first time that I have ever seen in a research paper where those who have experienced a near-death experience seem to have this, what do you want to say? They seem to be either more in tune or more affected or affecting paranormal phenomena. Wow. Ring also found that 49% of the NDEs reported an increased sensitivity to lights, as well as various physiological changes, i.e. decreased rates of blood pressure, body temperature, and metabolic rate. Wow. Something's happened there. They touch something. They touch the ethereal, right? Furthermore, 59% of the NDEs Ring study reported an increase in experiencing energetic currents flowing through their bodies. Wow. I mean, this is just freaking far out. That's all I can say. 58% reported an increase in mind expansion. You would think that if they were, where the heart stopped, there was interruption to the blood supply to the brain, you would think that just the opposite would happen. No. 61% reported increased psychic abilities. Wow. And 24% reported that they seemed to cause electric or electronic malfunctions, what we are calling the EMEs, compared to only 7% of his control group. Ring brought one example in one of the interviews. One of the NDEs said, "I have a difficult time as many computer malfunctions and lights blow when I walk under them. This has happened for years, and I tried to ignore this was happening. I simply cannot wear a watch for long periods before it breaks down. I went to a department store and walked in front of their brand new computer, and it quit working. When I held a fluorescent light in my hands, the entire bulb lit up like it was turned on. It seemed like there was a lot of static electricity." Wow. Other researchers have looked at EMEs reported by the NDEs, but Atwater, another researcher, significantly extended Ring's research observations into this area. She found that an astonishing 73% of nearly 3,000 NDEs she studied reported EMEs, which were not only stressful, but very costly, many reporting having to consistently replace or fix various types of technology. Atwater stated, "Of the experiencers I interviewed, 73% fit this profile and gave numerous reports of electrical snafus, such as microphones that fought them, recorders that began to smoke, computers that crashed, television channels that flipped, electronic memory systems that were wiped out, or streetlights that popped as they walked by. None could wear watches anymore without consistently repairing or replacing them. All of them reported a heightened awareness of electromagnetic fields in general. Experiencers claimed to have had a new awareness of invisible energy fields and a sensitivity to electricity and geomagnetic fields. Many claimed to see sparkles or balls of energy in the air, the aura or energy surrounding all things, and to develop a sensitivity to meteorological factors such as temperature, pressure, air movement, and humidity. For me, this is just very informative. I've been there, and it's like, in some of this, I don't wear a watch, can't. But this is very interesting. What I found was this part of having a new awareness of invisible energy fields. Now, I'm not saying that all of us have had an NDE, but I know a lot of people that can, as empathic, that can sense change. I mean, so could you imagine being heightened, hyper aware? That would be, I don't know how much fun that would be. I don't think it would be fun at all. I hope you find this research just fascinating. More recently, Nori looked at EMEs reported by the NDEs by designing a self-report measurement of when they start getting scales in which to measure, record, weigh against. Yeah. She divided participants into 3 groups to explore self-reported EMEs. Groups consisted of 36 NDEs, 20 participants who had a close brush with death but did not experience an actual NDE, and 46 participants who had not been close to death at all. Nori found that 70% of the NDEs reported at least one problem with electromagnetic equipment within the past year, while many NDEs reported problems all the time, depending on the device, such as lights, cell phones, computers, TVs, etc., as compared to the very low rates in both of the other 2 control groups. Moreover, Nori found correlations between EMEs and the deeper NDE experiences, as reported by higher scores on the ND scale. In short, the NDEs Nori studied who reported deeper NDEs also reported more EME effects. I mean, this is fascinating because for me, how I interpolate this is that there is a direct connection. There is something now that we may have perceived it, we may have thought, but there's very good evidence that it does exist. And it seems to be unique. Each experience may have similar overtones, but each one is unique. I don't know about you, but I just find that fascinating. I want to go on in this because respectful of the time. Again, if NDEs provide empirical, accessible examples of the limitations of the reductionistic and materialistic worldview, it is important to help establish or refute the possible verticalistic of their frequent, the veracity, basically, of their frequent claims. Likewise, because NDEs often find these MEEs stressful and costly, this is an important area of research in terms of practical benefits for helping NDEs cope and even possibly flourish with the aftermaths of their experience with death. I find it just fascinating. Not going to get into the quantitative method of how they set these research parameters. If you want the white paper, the research paper, I can assure you it is well worth the read, particularly if you're into this study, the subject. I want to get into the pilot study details. This is phase 1. So near-death experience scale. So now there is an existing scale. The NDE scale, Grayson's, consisted of 16 items, and the Likert type multiple choice scale that has been widely used in the fields to establish NDE criteria and tease out false positive and false negative reports. The scale consists of 4 sets of categories that assess cognitive, affective, paranormal, and transcendent NDE characteristics. It goes on talking about how the scores are set, what minimums of the threshold is to consider. Is this a more in tune to an actual or not? They have a questionnaire for the electromagnetic effect questionnaire. And it's, again, extremely detailed on the phase 2 of the study. Says this phase of the study used the NDE scale to screen participants from NDEs and used a different series of questionnaires for a more in-depth exploration of the EME effect. Specifically, the EMEQ and the EPQ were not used in this phase of the study, and instead, the first author and co-researcher, Kenneth Ring, designed a new questionnaire and added the Parapsychology Changes Inventory, the PCI, and the Life Change Inventory. So this is a detailed study, not to where it gets so boring where your eyes begin to glass over. Again, to me, it gives validation. It's exciting that science is doing this. Now, I'm sure that religion doesn't like this idea at all, because it kind of takes the whole wind out of their sail idea. But I'm sure that they'll find a way. So here were the participants. 10 individuals fully completed the pilot study survey. Of these 10 participants, all met the minimum criteria, a score of 7, on the NDE scale to be seen as having an NDE. Out of the 10 participants, 9 completed the demographic section, 8 were females, 1 male, and 1 unknown, and ranged in the age from 21 to 63, with the mean age of 43. 9 participants were Caucasian, and 1 was unknown. 7 reported living in the U.S., 1 in Australia, 1 in Sweden, and 1 unknown. They get into the maternal status. 5 reported being single, 3 married, living with a partner, 1 separated or divorced, and 1 unknown. Now, I can go ahead and tell you, they did all of them to a degree experienced a change in their relationships after their encounter with death. Participants reported current religious spiritual preferences as 1 Christian, 1 Buddhist, 1 Latter-day Saints Mormon, 2 spiritual, 1 atheist, 1 Native American, and 1 nature, 1 other, and 1 unknown. 7 reported their NDE was caused through an accident or injury, while 3 reported through an illness. Note, 3 of the participants reported having some more than 1 NDE. So those figures were calculated based on the participants' first NDE. Likewise, calculating time in years since their NDE was challenging, since multiple NDEs were reported by several participants. Yeah, I can dig that. In there, right? So here we go. Just in time. All right, data analysis of research question 1. The data analysis for research question 1 resulted in 5 main categories emerging, namely problems with watches, clocks, batteries, lights, computers, cell phones, and other electromagnetic phenomenon, problems with a wide range of other electrical appliances. Likewise, how participants experienced electromagnetic fields and electricity in general was examined, in addition to their perceived explanations for why this phenomenon is occurring. For watches, clocks, and batteries, 6 of the participants reported having some type of problem. 4 rated these problems as very high, while 2 reported high levels and 4 reported no problem at all. For example, to the question, sometimes I notice my watch or clock running too slow, 6 of the participants said they agreed, and 4 of them reported that this has caused so many problems that they have reduced or stopped wearing watches of any kind as a result. They talk about batteries draining. And some of us, I think, have this effect anyway. Oh, wow, where does time go? All right, I'll have to exit out of here. Anyway, it gets into each one of these areas. And again, it's 22 pages. We were about halfway through on this. But again, the point that I found was that there's tremendous hope in all of this for everyone, regardless of where you stand on it. It appears, and we have, I think all of us here fully believe that already, that there is something after this, that we do keep the experience, the memory. That means I'll remember Gaia and Paul, probably give them a big hug. Michelle, I may never have seen Michelle, but I'll know her by her energy. She'll know me. Well, obviously that goes without saying, but anyway. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? Coffee with the Unknown, how are you? What is the lecture tomorrow? Just good topic. How without discipline, magic don't work. Yeah. Oh, we don't want to talk about discipline. Yeah, we do. It's just a fact. Hey, Flight Risk, how you doing? So, hey, Julianne, good to see you, darling. It's early down there, isn't it? Shout out to Ginger as well. Lauren, good to see you. Lost in Space, what's up, Brandon? So, I love this kind of stuff. To me, and we're going to get actually into more of it. If you choose the website, you'll see what I mean. There is this uniqueness. It looks like no two of us, like our fingerprints, our eyes. I just read the study, the irises of our eyes. Each one is different. There's no two set of irises of human beings that are the same. Wow, that's as far out. The fingerprints, that energy. So we'll see each other. Brian is over there. Few people are over there. Carla, Isby, there's just a number of people, and they're listening. I don't know. Maybe they're on their journey. I hope whatever they're doing, they're having fun with it. I can't see that death in itself is not going to be fun. I mean, challenge your reality. I was thinking about this in my meditation time. The only thing that I know is this realm, the dream realm, and the realm that I learned to extend beyond my physical body. I know that realm is real. And regardless of what the chemical doing to my brain and synaptic pathways, it still allowed me to enter in. It's always up here. My body didn't go anywhere. Not sure my body would want to, but I brought the avatar of my body. But as I look down, many times I don't recognize a physical body so much as I just recognize the consciousness as mine. Seems like that's the only true identifier I have. I can't remember looking into a mirror in any of the experiences, whether it was lucid dreaming, astral travel, or a near-death experience. I never remember seeing, I don't even remember dreaming of a mirror. Hey, Dave, what's up? Dave Sullivan, good to see you. So, hey, Bonnie. Well, anyway, food for thought today. Because a lot of people are dying. That just tells you something. I'd like to see us all prepared, regardless of how the event happens. Get through the process and say, okay. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like a root canal. I've read that it's more orgasmic than anything else, which would make, if it's a release, I can dig that. See exactly what they're coming from. Yeah. All right, people. Much love to you. Hey, Deborah Sloan, how are you, my dear? Good to see you. Jules, good to see you. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. It's fun. I know that usually I'm just the talking head, but you know, I do go back and look at the chat room and, you know, do my best to read the thing. So Matthew, still thinking about you out there as well. Tori, thank you. I love that I get so many compliments on you folks on the chat room. So I tell you, if you need therapy, the chat room is the place to go. That's all I got to say. All right. Till we see each other again, thank you.